righty. So I got another good question for you. Since it sounds like a lot of people need a little clarity on this point. A lot of times when we see funding cuts, we think there isn't enough money. If I said we have to cut the budget in the family budget, it would probably be because we didn't have enough money to pay for something. But in this situation, all of these funding cuts, the proposed cuts, are not as a result of a lack of money. In fact, Adam, the county has a massive surplus of money, millions of dollars in reserves, making it way different than people think. So, explain a little bit about the fact that we've got plenty of money, we have plenty of reserves, and it isn't that we can't fund these programs due to a lack of money.
No, it isn't. Probably out of the roughly $140 million reserve, probably 70 of it is not restricted. They do have to have funds that are restricted for contingencies, for snow removal, for pay, for things like that. I mean, basically the same thing that they're beating up the school board for having a $6 million surplus. That's a roving surplus. That's their their payroll or this and that. The county does have to have them, but there's probably roughly around $70 million that's unrestricted if they're being honest. Okay. How are we going to manage that? I would say in a fiscally responsible way by ensuring that we're ready for whatever the future may throw at us, really, while we're still properly funding what's important now. It's all about balance. It doesn't do a whole lot of good to put money away and say, we got to save this for a rainy day when it's pouring, when it's raining cats and dogs right now. We're in a lot of trouble, and nobody's saying that we need to deplete the fund balance. It's good fiscal policy to have a savings plan because you never know what life is going to throw at us. But at the same time, we have to fund things now. And if we don't do that and we kick the can down the road, as Danielle Hornberger is now finding out, it's going to cost a lot more to fix the issue than it would be to properly fund it in real time. I can tell you this too, Chris, I certainly won't be siphoning off $20 million for a political stunt. We needed that money. We really did. Our schools are in trouble, crime's out of control, and our roads are terrible to drive on. That $20 million could have gone a long way to fix that. That was a terrible decision and certainly not fiscally conservative.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit further. Explain the 20 million, where it went, and why she made the decision to do that.
Well, I don't know why she made the decision to do that. I can only guess because she wants to get reelected. She knows she has a tough time, and so what happened? What she did was she decided to give, or what she called, this is what it was sold at, as a tax rebate or for property tax owners. And the average, depending on the value of the house, the average was about $700. For those of us that still have a mortgage, then that $700 was taken off the escrow. What's going to end up happening is that next year, unless she does this again, it's going to throw your escrow out of whack, and you're going to see some serious issues when it comes time to trying to throw that back in balance. So here's another. That $20 million, she claims, is, well, that's taxpayers' money. It belongs back to the taxpayer. And I yes, it's all our money. We pay taxes for it, but people pay taxes for the benefit of the collective, for the benefit of the community. So once those taxes get paid, and nobody likes paying taxes. I don't like paying taxes. I wish I can get away with the least amount of paying taxes as possible, but we need to fund basic things to make our community thrive and make it livable. So when that $20 million, once it's paid into the treasury, that doesn't belong to the hypothetical taxpayer. I mean, it is their money, but it belongs to the community, and it's up to elected officials. We're elected to decide how best to allocate that money and appropriate that money for the betterment of the community. And if we do that irresponsibly, then we have to face the voters every 4 years. And she is finding this out, that now she has to face the voters on what she did with $20 million. On top of the fact that with money that's being borrowed for capital projects, if you had $20 million to give back, then why wasn't that $20 million put toward the capital projects instead of borrowing a higher amount of money than you're paying a higher amount of interest on for the next 30 years, or wherever the bond rating is on that. So it was very, very irresponsible. Very few people got a $700 check, and it was very disingenuous. And again, we needed that money. We needed that money, even if the schools are fully funded, which they're not. We have many needs in this county. I mean, go to any back road you're on, any back road, okay? That $20 million could have done a lot of good in this county, and it just blows my mind that she would do this because she thought it was going to get her reelected. I got news for her. She's listening. It's not.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I did some research even before getting a chance to interview you on the numbers on how the difference between the candidates, how many people voted, how many people got elected by what margin. It's a very small margin. Like her primary candidacy was decided by about 5,000 people, I think, and her general election was decided by about 10,000 people. Would you agree or disagree with me that 5,000 people empowered over one issue really can change the entire course of local politics?
Well, I think people can change if they get out and vote. I think part of the problem in politics is we have voter apathy. This is my second election. When I was running in my first election, and we're talking to voters and prospective voters, a lot of people thought that it wasn't important to vote in the primary; that it was only important to vote in the general election. They want the big names like the president and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a truism that all politics are local. The president of the United States does not worry about your trash pickup or your roads or your school funding or this and that. These are decided by people within the community that were elected to make those decisions. So I would argue that the most important political election on the ballot are the people that directly affect you, and that's local government. But there's a lot of voter apathy. A lot of people don't care. A lot of people don't trust politicians. I can't tell you how many former Republicans are now unaffiliated voters. And it's actually true with both parties because they're sick and tired of the nonsense that we're seeing here at a local level from Cecil County politics, led again by the county executive. They're just tired of it. And so now that when they see this, they want to make a change, and they're like, Adam, we want to vote for you. We support you. We're conservatives, but we just don't like being labeled in a political party. So we can't vote for you in a primary. And this is where we're trying to ask people, you know what, if this issue is important to you, don't give up on the Republican Party. Don't give up on us. Just because a few have hijacked it and turned it into something that it isn't. Come back, vote for change. If it's important to you, vote. Because it shouldn't be out of all the registered voters in the county. A small minority should not be deciding who leads. But again, it's up to the voters to decide what's important to them. Are they going to get out the vote and then not? Now, it is also true that given the voter demographics in Cecil County, we are a conservative county. We are a Republican county. So because the voters, Republicans outnumber Democrats about 2-1, the Republican candidate is almost always going to win. And when you have your hardcore base only coming out to vote, sometimes what you get is a Daniel Hornberger. Now, there's a lot being said on social media that because some Democrats are jumping over ship on this issue to change the Republican to vote for me. I have news for her. She was losing her base. So before this issue really blew up, Daniel Hornberger was never going to beat me in a primary. She just wasn't. But what she did do was galvanize a community in a way that I've never seen in my 25 years here, because no matter where you lie on the political spectrum, you want your kids to have a quality education. Don't
Yeah,
mess with our kids. And I think that she's finding this out the hard way, which is why there are a lot of personal attacks, a lot of behind the scenes Cecil Watcher and then keyboard warriors and all and you know they're just being cowardly and not putting their name to their opinions, because when you're doing that, you're losing.
I agree.
You know, it's very upsetting to them, and I'm sure their polling is showing this. But you know, while they whine, we're going to lead.
Well said. I think it's important to educate the public, have them hear these issues so they can be an informed voter and to vote. Like we were talking last night, to complain about something and not to have voted for it, you don't have the right to complain about it. If this is important to you, find a way to vote. It really isn't that complicated. Voted in plenty of elections in plenty of states. If I can figure it out, I'm sure you can too. And if you don't know what to do, ask. You know, Adam is extremely easy to get a hold of. I am no Joe Rogan, but he answered the call with no questions asked. So if you're not sure what to do or how to do it, reach out and I'm sure somebody can help you figure out the proper way to do so.
Yeah,
Two
absolutely.
last two more questions before we wrap up this afternoon. What does being a conservative and a Republican mean to you?
So it means being a good steward of our resources and investing in things that matter while ensuring we get an excellent return on that investment. It's following the footsteps of Ronald Reagan. It's following the footsteps of people that came before us that really instilled the values of self-reliance, on community involvement, and on making sure that you know we're not penny wise and pound foolish. It's not that we're against spending money. It just means that we want to make sure that the money we spend we're getting an investment on, and that we get something for that. It's for the community. Um, it's in our best interest as a community to have excellent schools providing quality education that will lead our students to happy and successful and productive lives, you know, while preventing them from falling into crime and drugs and things like that, because you can't make a decent living otherwise. And that's what I mean when I say that education and public safety are two sides of the same coin.
I forgot to ask this one. Three questions before we go. You said to me last night that your plan wasn't to give the school district a blank check. I don't think anybody would expect that, but you also don't want to continue to fund it at maintenance of effort. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, yes, the maintenance of effort level funding got us into this mess. No, nobody gets a blank check. Look, I work for the sheriff's office. I'll be retired by then. But the sheriff's office ain't getting a blank check. Nobody gets it. That's not responsible. But I do believe that it is my job as county executive, and it is Dr. Lawson's job as superintendent, and it is Diane Hawley's job as president of the school board to sit down and develop a responsible budget. It, this is what we need, and it makes sense for the taxpayers. It makes sense for the students, and let's go forward. Because at this point, you know, I'm not going to commit to a certain dollar amount, but what I will commit to is yes, it's going to be over maintenance of effort funding. Anything else is it's really mean spirited. It's non sustainable, and it's going to hurt our community.
Well said. How can people support your candidacy, get in contact with you? So just advertise yourself in our final 2 minutes so people know how to get a hold of you and support your campaign for county executive.
So you can go to my website at straightforcecil.com, where you can learn more about me. You can sign up to volunteer. You can show your support with yard signs and bumper stickers. And if you're able, donate, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with securely on my website. You can also follow us on Facebook at Adam Streight for Cecil County Executive, you know, and you can register to vote in the Republican primary. This can be done very easy on the Board of Elections website. There's also a link to that on my website at straightforcecil.com. And most importantly, get out the vote. Some of the differences between Daniel Hornberger and I are our values. My political platform is based on my values. While it's true that we vote for those with similar political philosophies, leadership actually matters more. There's values that reflect who we are, how we treat others, our love for God, safety, and how we treat our fellow man. And these are the values that bind us together as a community, and it forms my platform. I really believe these are Cecil County values. The difference between Ms. Hornberger and myself lies in our respective values. I value having a safe and prosperous community. I value the local businesses who hire our friends and family, who donate to our local charities and who sponsor our kids' sports teams. I value our teachers who work so hard for so little pay, only to be criticized for doing their jobs and being caught in a political crossfire. I value our students and their right to a quality education to help them be successful when entering the workforce and thrive in the modern economy. Ms. Hornberger has proven that she values none of these things. Now, she may provide just enough in this budget, depending on what her polls tell her, in hopes of getting reelected, but her history demonstrates that she will go back to starving the school system in a second term. So again, most importantly, get out and vote. If this means something to you, make your voice heard. Plato once said that refusal to get involved in the political system means that you consent to be governed by your inferiors. And my grandma said it best when she said, if you don't vote, you can't complain. So get out and vote. Again, straightforcecil.com. You can reach out to me through DM, through email, through my website. I want to earn your vote.
If you watched this today and you got anything out of it, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button on the channel. I think we actually have this split into 2 parts. So you might get part 1 and part 2 in 2 different distributions. If you liked what you heard, give us a thumbs up. If you dislike, hey, that's okay too. Subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, locally right now, share it. Share it on your Facebook, on Facebook groups, on Twitter, or it's X now, on anything. There is a share button in YouTube. You can copy that, post it in your Facebook feed, and share this information out locally. I only get so far. I only get to see so many people. But you, if you're watching this right now and this meant something to you, share this information out to those in Cecil County so they can be educated, hear his platform, and make an educated decision when it comes down to voting. Adam, thank you for your time today, and I appreciate all that you shared with our viewing audience.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much.